circuit, a real challenge on the foothills of the famous volcano. And out on the circuit is a BMW M6 GT3 driven by a driver who's raced for 4 years for BMW Team Studi. That's Jörg Muller. And the person alongside is our very own presenter, Claire Jedrick. Summer heat wave continues in Japan, and certainly Claire Jedrick, our presenter, will be getting hot under the collar because Jörg Muller is not hanging around as he pushes the BMW Team Studi M6 BMW around the circuit very hard indeed. You can see that Claire's trying to keep her head upright. There's Jörg on the right, working very hard indeed, and Claire trying to concentrate. She's a racer, she knows where to look into the corner, but when you're not the driver holding the steering wheel, you're the one that really has nothing to brace yourself against. She'll be pushing her feet hard down in the footwell. You can see Jörg kicking the tail out of the BMW M6 through turn 15 onto the start-finish straight. It's a very, very quick lap, very dynamic indeed, and Jörg, first race on this circuit back in 1991, knows it very well indeed. And that's certainly the fastest that Claire has ever arrived on the grid. We'll speak to her very shortly. We'll let her come to a standstill, clamber out from inside the roll cage, take a helmet off, the hands device as well, and then we'll hand her gear for the race, where she'll be wearing, of course, headphones so she can communicate with me. She'll get a microphone. There's Chugs coming in to get her to set up. But while we feel fairly cool, calm and collected, I think Claire would have been really slightly shaken around out there. But as I say, she is a racer, she is a trooper, but that certainly is a very, very fine weight, so make your way to the grid. Why walk from the pit lane when you can come in with great speed with a driver who's A, very entertaining, B, very fast indeed. Two more breaths from Claire, and let's find out, Claire, what was that like?
Oh man, I tell you what, the guy's a madman. It was a great day in the office, and if the coffee didn't get me, that got my blood pumping.
Not surprised at all. Fantastic way to arrive at the grid. Looking brilliant down on the grid, but it's hot out there, Claire. Very, very hot indeed. It's been a huge heat wave, over 40 degrees this summer. And certainly too hot for quite a lot of people in Japan. Very humid as well. And as you look towards the front of the grid, turn one, looking back to the uphill climb to the start line. And again, it's very hot. Look at that heat haze. Everyone out taking a look at the car. But the hot action was on track yesterday. And certainly the first race, so the two here at the Fuji Speedway, ended as a surprise result. KCMG not only won with their Nissans, but took first and third place. So let's look back to Saturday's race. Packed grid of cars, a few cars getting out of position as the lights were a long time changing from red to green, but the pole starter, the Nissan, number 23 on the pit wall side, kept his nose in front. On the outside was the red Ferrari of Dono Lester, but showing why he's the championship leader, Dennis Lind dived down, took third place into second in his black and green Lamborghini. The dust kicked up in the background showed just how hard people were pushing, and unfortunately already out of the race in the wall on the outside of turn 2 was Sandy Stuvick's Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche. But look how quickly the first two cars made their break. Really good run from Yuki Taniguchi, an AM driver holding down third place. Surely one thought the cars behind him would be able to pull through an overtake. Nico Bassett in fourth place in the 999. Mercedes had his hands very full indeed. The 81 BMW went into the lead immediately in the GT4 class and pulled ever further clear. Brilliant start by Surround. Here we had some moves, 19 and 23, fighting so hard over position. Looks as though it was going very well indeed for Dennis Lind. The pressure was on. He moved to the front of the race. Then 23 dived for the pits, and that was the car that started from pole in the hands of Eduardo Liberati. He would hand over as soon as he could to Florian Strauss. There's the German racer coming in to take over. He stayed out a long time, and eventually Dennis Lind handed it over to Martin. A hub also, of course, number 27 Ferrari, Dono Lester in, and then Nick Foster running out to take it over. 1 hour race, midpoint in the race. This is when the pit stops come. There's Martin Kodrich running out, down the start, finish straight, tucked in behind Nick Foster in the 27 Ferrari, Florian Strauss on the inside. But as happens so often, driving just that little bit too deep, running wide into turn 1 and in turn 2. Move Kane. Now look, I think we might have a little bit of body rubbing. Oh yes, we most certainly did. A few corners later we saw the Nissan running off the circuit. I guess at the time it might have been a flat tyre from contact, but I think it was simply running wide, getting dirt on the tyres, just having no grip at all at turn 4. We're back on the track, fortunately with no puncture at all. Teams in the garages, more nervous moments. But in the closing stages of the race, ever further clear, Alexander Imperatori in the number 18 car, a Pro-Am runner, building on the excellent work of Yuki Taniguchi, heading off to victory. There was nothing Nick Foster could do. He nailed down second place. Third place was going the way of Florian Strauss. Great battling in behind Martin Kodrich under increasing pressure from the 999 Mercedes that told, and eventually this is the move. It was completed through the course of 3 corners when the 19 car went off at turn 4, bounced over the curves, had no grip, and up into 4th place went Patrick Niederhauser. He was to go no further up the order, eventually finishing right on the tail of Florian Strauss, who backed off on the final lap. But victory, and an easy victory, 13 seconds clear for our race leader, Alexander Imperatori, in the background with his lights blazing away. The red Ferrari from Hub Auto Corsa, Nick Foster nailing that second place, more useful championship points for him. And it was a 1-3 in Nissan. GT4, there was never any question about who it was going to be. It was going to be the 81 BMW M4 from Team Studio, 23rd overall. Kinoshita bringing it home. It was the applause from the team. Hot and busy down on the grid. And Claire has moved up to make the first of her interviews. She arrived in a BMW. She's talking to a BMW driver, Takayuki Kinoshita, on GT4 pole.
We've got car 81 Kinoshita in GT4 pole position. Kinoshita, you have 100% record, 5 races now. Are you confident to make it 6 races?
Yeah, thank you. Yesterday I got the win. It's so very happy, but this year, we don't have an advantage situation for the 15-second handicap system, but so I have to get on the top of the podium today. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you on the podium.
And I don't think that was the greatest of guesses for, I think it's almost a likelihood, because certainly Takayuki Kinoshita has been fantastic this season, already taken those class victories in 2 of the last 3 races on GT4 pole. BMW Team Studio really at the top of the game. Of course it helps, they know the Japanese circuit, great form at Suzuka, and even better form here at Fuji. Also Reinhold Renger, who's still leading the GT4 class, has rather fallen out of luck. He's got a new teammate this weekend and into 6th place in class, so the points gap closing at the top of GT4, but still very comfortable indeed, the lead of Reinhold Renger. Hot, as I said, out on the grid. Very, very humid. Track conditions are great. We are missing 2 corners this weekend. Turns 11 and 12 have been removed from that because, unfortunately, they've got some potholes in them. And with these low-slung cars, these heavy low-slung cars, it really was asking for trouble. It was right by the curbing and they could have opened up. So the cars will sweep through turn 10 and continue straight up the hill to turn 13 rather than going right and then left through the little swerve. But still, actually, it makes turn 13 an even more exciting challenge than before. What a flurry of activity down on the grid. We had a KCMG Nissan starting from pole position yesterday, and the sister car, the one that went on to win yesterday's race, is on pole today for the Sunday race, where driver number 2 starts the race and yesterday's starters take the second leg. Now here's the fantastic lap of the Fuji Speedway, 4.5 kilometres. The blue sector, downhill run to turn 1. Turn 1 drops away sharply into turn 2. Then when we get to the green sector, we're approaching turn 4. Wonderful twist of corners down at the lowest point on the circuit. Then we arrive into the red section. Turn 10 is the right-hander at the bottom there. You can see the track is much more of a straight line up the hill. Then the swerve through turns 13, 14, and the most critical corner of all, turn 15, the last corner, uphill, blind exit when the cars are approaching, but you've got to get your exit right because it leads onto that super, super long, mile-long straight all the way down to turn 1, the key overtaking point on the circuit. But Claire's working hard, and she has moved up to join the overall pole sitter, yesterday's winner, Alexander Imperatori.
Alex Imperatori, car 18 over here. You were the winner yesterday, and today you are GT3 pole position. Let's just talk about, do you think you have the pace today?
Well, I think we have a strong car, so I think we'll have the pace. Obviously, we'll be very competitive. We've got a lot of quick guys around us, but the car is good, so I think we can hopefully be in the front and try to pull a gap. Then we have to see at the pit stop because we've got the 15-second penalty, obviously, so we'll make things a bit more difficult, but my teammate is also doing a great job this weekend, so fingers crossed.
Well, good luck. Let's make it 2 out of 2.
I must say, well done for Claire for getting from the back of the grid right the way up to the front. Slightly out of breath, but that's probably also from being driven around by Jörg Müller in that GT3 BMW M6 to get to the grid. That's showing a great deal of style and class. One little thing that we heard from Alex Imperatori, if you're new to Blancpain GT Series racing, if you finish in the first 3 positions, you have an extra time penalty that forces you to stay longer in your pit stop. Victory means 15 seconds added to their time. Don't forget that car won by 13 seconds yesterday. So it's possible. If you finish second in a race, which is the number 27 Ferrari, starting from 5th on the grid, you have an extra 10 seconds at a standstill. And the car that finished third, the sister Nissan, picked up a 5-second penalty for its pit stop today. However, I think that 23 Florian Strauss, Eduardo Liberati Nissan could come out the overall winner, because the 4 of the 5 crews ahead of them are Pro-Am runners. They have a Pro driver who'll be very quick, and if they're lucky, their Am driver is really picking up pace. Yuki Taniguchi did it in the sister Nissan yesterday, but that's not the case for all of the top 4 cars on the grid. You can't be sure that the Am driver in that Pro-Am lineup is going to be able to really deliver as close to the Pro in terms of lap pace. But another car I just want to pick out, throw into the mix, starting 7th on the grid. It's a Japanese team, ARN Racing, with their Ferrari. New driver on board this weekend, Kota Sasaki. He's starting the race from 7th on the grid. He was very impressive, and Hiroaki Nagai is going faster and faster, so we could have another car winning. So far we've had 14 races, 13 winners. The only driver to pick up 2 wins so far this year is one of the Group M Mercedes racers, Patrick Niederhauser. He's joined, as I say, by 12 other race winners. How's that for sharing the victories around? Of course, having this 15-second, 10-second, 5-second extra pit stop time as a reward for finishing in the top 3 of a race can really make a difference, and that's played a role in that as well. But the fact these wins have been spread around so far between 4 manufacturers is really, really encouraging, and that is the very essence of Blancpain GT Series. The cars have a balance of performance that hopefully gives all of them an equal chance. Yes, within that balance of performance, some will be better out of the corners, some will be better under braking. Again, their profiles are different, but it's GT3 racing, it's super pure, it's spreading around the world. And certainly this we're now more than halfway through the second Blancpain GT Series Asia, and this is our largest grid of the year, 33 cars, and unfortunately for all of the drivers there is yet no view today of Mount Fuji up behind the circuit. They should be able to see it as they come up the hill into the final corner, turn 15, but they have to be super confident to be looking up, where they should be looking where they might be placing their car on the exit. It should be off on the right-hand side of your screen there, over behind the Pirelli banners, just on the exit of turn 14. But alas, the clouds have got thicker and thicker today. That doesn't mean the temperature has dropped at all. It's very, very hot indeed. This race, like yesterday's race, 1 hour long, with an opening of the pit window between 25 minutes and 35 minutes into this race. Cars have to be at a standstill for a mandatory period of time. If they go too soon, they will get a time penalty. They will get a drive-through penalty. And don't forget, the first 3 finishes in GT4 and overall have those extra seconds at a standstill. So if your car's at the front of the grid, it's no guarantee, as it is for poleman Alexander Imperatori, that he'll be able, along with his teammate Yuki Taniguchi, to claw back that 15-second deficit. The yellow Ferrari, on the other hand, on the outside of the front row, no such likelihood of a time penalty, because it finished down the order yesterday, but it's absolute hot shoe. Davide Rigon, works Ferrari driver, brought in from the World Endurance Championship to join Maurice Chen today. He's starting on the outside of the front row. He missed out on pole position by 23 1/1000ths of a second. And immediately the superlatives came. Alexander Imperatori held on to take pole in his KCMG Nissan. Started reaching for the records book. Surely that was the smallest gap between pole and second on the grid. Not so. It's not even the second closest. The closest point is 0.009 of a second. There's been another even marginal difference, so only the 3rd smallest gap in Blancpain GT Series Asia history in this, which is only the 10th round overall, this only the 20th race, so that's an absolutely phenomenal record. But I really fancy, if he can get a good start, the opening laps of the race could well belong to Davide Rigon in the yellow Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari. He of course will have to hand that over to Taipei's Maurice Chen, and with the best respect in the world, very few people can match Davide Rigon's pace in a Ferrari. So whatever he does in the first part of the race may be going backwards, but early in the season you could have said much the same about Yuki Taniguchi, but he's come on in leaps and bounds in that KCMG Nissan. Now here's the series. We kicked off in April at Sepang in Malaysia, then went to Thailand, the Chang International Circuit at Buran, the Japanese doubleheader, Suzuka 3 weeks ago, and here this weekend at Fuji, then a Chinese doubleheader, Shanghai International Circuit, and a new circuit, Ningbo International, not that far from Shanghai. We'll conclude the voting in October. We're looking at the championship table at the moment. It's the black and green Lamborghini from FFF Racing. The crew, Martin Kodrich and Dennis Lind, they're leading on 104 points. Patrick Niederhauser with the 2 wins in the bag. He's 17 points behind. And by dint of second place yesterday, Nick Foster in the second of the Hub Autocorsa Ferraris, who's up into third place overall ahead of Romp and Kung Fu. But running down the grid on the formation lap, Raffaele Marciello will be starting from third in the grid. Look out for him in his Group M Mercedes. He is very quick indeed. Hub Autocorsa, John O'Lester joining Nick Foster this weekend. They've been going well, but I fancy the car alongside the number 23 Nissan. Row number 4, another car I think could be really good. The all dark red number 8 Ferrari from ARN Racing. No time penalties for them. Championship leaders Dennis Lind and Martin Kodrich. Very, very strong pairing, leading the championship by dint of incredible frequency of scoring. Every time they go out, they put points into the pot. Quite a few new faces this weekend. We mentioned John O'Lester coming in at the front end. One thing I need to point out, it's the last race for Absolute Racing with all of their Audis, because they're coming to the Chinese legs with 2 brand new Bentley Continentals, which would add a lovely extra mix to the championship here. Martin Rump, Frankie Cheng, winners last time out at Suzuka, starting in 17th. It shows how fast things can change in the very, very quick-fire Blancpain qualifying sessions. Get one little slip, don't get the heat in your tyres, and it's so competitive. You're way down the order. So a lot of these runners, they might get towards the front, but it's going to take them all race to do so. There is that dark red ARN Racing Ferrari that I think, if it just keeps itself clean in the run to the first corner, doesn't get into trouble around the first half a lap when it's going to be side by side in every single corner, then I think they could have a really good run. Down at the back of the grid, we're moving to the world of the GT4 class, and 27th and 28th on the grid are the 2 BMW Team Studio M4s leading the way in that class. One car I think you really need to watch for is starting right towards the back of the grid. Number 72, 32nd, penultimate position, Team iRace.win. They started at the back after a ride height problem left them being disqualified from qualifying, but their Mercedes has been very strong. Gilles Vannelet gets to start it this afternoon here at the Fuji Speedway. So all 33 cars look as though they've made it onto the top straight, the main straight. It's a long straight, it's a mile long here at the Fuji Speedway. All eyes on the lights on the starting gantry. On pole position we've got Alexander Imperatori, yesterday's really impressive winner, alongside Davide Rigon. All eyes looking like Raffaele Marciello in behind, and Marco Mappelli in the black and green Lamborghini. They're all Pro-Am runners in the first 4 positions. Already the bright red Ferrari with Nick Foster dives to try and take a move and the run up to the first corner. The poleman Imperatori has got it under control. Looks though the Hub Autocorsa has gone into second and third places, so a very positive start with Davide Rigon in second. In behind, we've got Mappelli going over the curves in turn 3. He's lost a position. Marciello into 4th, and the ARN Racing Ferrari up into 5th place. That's getting 2 positions for Kota Sasaki. So it's all pretty much going according to plan. But the best start was Nick Foster going from 5th to 3rd. Poleman Imperatori kept it together from pole position, resisted the initial challenge from Davide Rigon. It looks though everybody behaved behind, which wasn't necessarily the case yesterday. Halfway around the lap, Imperatori's settling it down, going out to the very edge of the circuit. Don't want to go too far beyond. Oh God, Marciello in 4th place, pushing very wide at turn 8. Through the flick there at turn 9, up to turn 10. As I mentioned just in the preview, turns 11 and 12, you've seen the little stretch of track. That is not being used this weekend because of a few potholes that could cause trouble for these cars. But again, a positive start, very darty turn into turn 13 there for our race leader, Alexander Imperatori. He was imperious yesterday afternoon, won by 13 seconds. It could have been more, quite frankly. He had everything under control. But as with all Blancpain races in the sprint series, these 1 hour races, you have driver 1 starts race 1. But today, he is the second driver in the car. So it's sometimes it's the turn of the AM to take the start. Other teams have turned it around. They have their pro driver, and very much the pro driver in the number 18 race-leading Nissan Nismo GTR is Alexander Imperatori. Looks like he's about a second and a half clear of Davide Rigon at the end of the opening lap. Well, in fact, under a second, 0.94 of a second. But looking back down, you can see the field spreading out, trying to break a slipstream, gain a toe up the start-finish straight. work the movers. Rigon in second, so Hub Auto second and third with their Ferrari. Rigon, Foster, Marciello, Sasaki, Mapelli off that little slip up. Florian Strauss back one position, and Patrick Niederhauser into eighth. He's the only double winner. Naoki Yokomizo and the best of the Porsches in the hands of Shea Davis in 10th place overall. Top car in GT4, just for your reference, is Takayuki Kinoshita, driver we heard from talking to Claire down on the grid, ahead of his teammate Chen in the 82 BMW M4. The best chance for Davide Rigon was to try and get a jump either at the start or into turn one on the blue and white Nissan ahead of him. Hasn't managed to do so around the early parts of this lap. Already another fraction of a second gained by the race leader. The initial challenge from Raffaele Marciello so positive on the opening lap. Okay, he went from third to fourth, but he very nearly went back to third. He's staying fourth at the moment, all about half a second or thereabouts apart, all the way down to 8th place to Patrick Niederhauser. And then behind him, the next 5 cars are covered by about 2 seconds. So it shows how tight it is. There we are, there's the race leading car for the GT4 class, number 81. Took victory yesterday. And the teammate car tucked in behind with Chen at the wheel of 82. That's Max Chen, who shares with Ken Urata. Ken was already one support racer, so he's had plenty of track time, both yesterday and today. So there's the overall leader. Brabham cars first and second, as well as fourth, fifth and sixth. And the interloper, if you will, the silver-silver combination, driver combination of Nick Foster and Jono Lester there. The red Ferrari with the white band up the nose in third place overall. First and second went 0.9 seconds to 1.1 seconds, so it's going the right way if your name's in Purgatory, the wrong way if you're Davide Rigon. In GT4, Kinoshita, his advantage just over a second over his teammate. 33 cars started this race, the biggest race grid of the second season of the Blancpain GT Series Asia, and 33 cars still running, all really starting to pick up the pace. Suddenly, from nowhere, the fastest first sector of anyone, it just come from the car running in 9th place overall. 117, one of the car guy racing cars. They've got 2 Lamborghinis, but they've also got a Ferrari 458 Italia. And Naoki Yokomizo, who knows this circuit particularly well, really starting to make that sing. His next target is half a second down on Patrick Niederhauser. Don't forget, Niederhauser is a double win in this championship. Just went out the bottom of the shop, that pairing. Great battling down the order. It seems the top few cars are sort of running almost side by side, but you can see the KCMG Audi. Yes, I said Audi. They've got the 2 Nissans at the front, but the purple and white car, number 45, almost every single round wins the AM class. They've had a phenomenal run, 7 races so far, and only once did they not win the class. But as much as anything, they're enjoying the thick of the battle. Right, here comes our leader again. 3 laps about to be put on the board. His advantage was 1.1 seconds last time. It's come down to 1.001 seconds. Let's just call it a second between friends. So Davide Rigon didn't get the most brilliant of start. It wasn't a bad one, able to hold on to second place. He's just starting to close in, just banged in the fastest lap of the race. And behind you can see these cars breaking into pairs. Here's a classic case, couple of Audis fighting their way down the start-finish straight. Car 37, Josh Burden trying his best to pass number 5 Audi from Alex Young. Alex running a bit deep into the corner. The move should be made out of turn 2. They come down to turn 3, and it's the car second in GT4 that's got it wrong. Gone for a spin, went over the curbs on the exit of the final corner, has got into a long spin, whacked the wall on the other side. Let's see what the damage is. For Max Chen. You know what, from this angle I can't see any damage whatsoever. Has he actually damaged the rear light? Well, that's got to be the light. Unless there's any damage to that rear suspension, he has got away, and he's got the whole race to fight his way back. But the track slightly drops away when you go over the crest of the hill on the exit. A lot of cars run over the curb, but if you put the power down too soon, the car's slightly unbalanced, maybe even on the painted curb. Who had that excuse all the years ago? I'll think about that. But certainly a lot of drivers, they know they have to get the power down as soon as they can, but put it down too soon, the tail can come round. And that was the telling result. So back to the bottom of the field. Max Chen out of second in the GT4 class gives suddenly a total change in class, because Reinhold Renger has moved up to second place. He's the driver who won the class many times at the start of the season. He's 4.5 seconds down on Takayuki Kinoshita, and Gilles Vannelet is up from the back of the grid in the 72 Mercedes into third place in class. No one at the moment can touch Alex Imperatori. His gap came down by 1/10 of a second, but it's gone out back to 1.2 seconds all over again. So a better lap from Alex Imperatori, and he, to do that, has just set the fastest lap of the race. But Davide Rigon in second place is far from beaten. At the moment he's gaining half a second a lap, or more to the point, dropping by half a second a lap. His teammate in the red, white and black Ferrari in the background, Nick Foster, and Foster is falling into the grasp of Raffaele Marciello in the 888 Mercedes, the silver one with the blue flash, which identifies it from the 999, it's the sister car with the orangey red flashes, where this one is blue. And again, as we saw on the opening lap, Raffaele Marciello really is very happy throwing his car deep, deep, deep into corners, sweeping around turn 5 and 6 into 7. That's under the banking just at the back of the paddock. Lots of spectators sit up there. Little mistake from Nick Foster. He's gone wide over the curbs at turn 8, and greater exit speed from turn 7. Looks like Raffaele Marciello might have a little think about a crack into turn 10, but without turn 11 and 12 to follow, you need to be on the wider line here to go up the hill to turn 13 to carry as much speed as you can. And in fact, that was done better by Foster in the Ferrari than it was by Marciello in the Mercedes. So as he turns, the Australian turns into turn 13, the Italian has to bide his time and start thinking, okay, hasn't worked into 13, won't work here into turn 14, doesn't have to work because Nick Foster went too deep into the corner, and third place has suddenly become fourth. So big frustration for Foster there. He'll have very dusty tyres as he tries to turn into turn 15. Final corner of the lap. That should allow Marco Mappelli and the number 63 Lamborghini to just close in very slightly. So let's have a look at the replay. Under pressure from Marciello, but maybe got a slight slip partway through the corner at turn 14. Just couldn't get the front end to turn in, and then coating of dust, possibly a swear word into the helmet, and third place became fourth for Foster. Nice instant replay, not so nice for all the parties concerned. Sandy Stuvik, who was fourth yesterday, and his teammate alongside him, that's the Craft Bamboo Racing camp. Much happier camp now, they're finding form. So that was Aidan Reed sitting alongside him in the garage. Here is Raffaele Marciello. You got the sense that he was being a little bit bottled up by Foster for those previous 2 laps. Now let's see what the Italian can do. He's 2.5 seconds down on Davide Rigon. Davide lost another 1/10 of a second to this man, Alexander Imperatori, the Swiss driver who has so much experience, having raced in Asia for a very long time and certainly brought late into this season to the KCMG team, and has really made quite a mark. Made his debut in the first of the Japanese legs at Suzuka, picked up a class win and a 6th place overall, but yesterday really delivered. And it must be said that was built on very firm foundations that were laid down by Yuki Taniguchi. Don't forget, Yuki is an AM driver, but he ran third in the race and really did not look out of place. And well, unfortunate news just flashing on the screen. Car 72 has got a drive-through penalty. That's Gilles Vannelet, and that apparently is for contact at turn 15, which is presumably, I put all the blame on the shoulders of poor Max Chen for spinning the 82 BMW, but it seems he was given a help on his way, presumably by Gilles Vannelet's Mercedes. But anyhow, come what may, blame can lie wherever it needs to lie, but Vannelet unfortunately is going to have to go from the back all over again, so he'll probably serve that as soon as he possibly can and see how he can fight his way back. So here is third, fourth and fifth, Marciello, Foster and Mappelli. But let's take a look at the replay of that incident. So this is the incident. Nick Foster shed third place. Yeah, he ran a bit deep through turn 13, approaching turn 14, and just couldn't get his Ferrari to turn in. Sister Ferrari continuing on its way ahead of him, but third became fourth, and you can see the Lamborghini closing in behind. So frustration. And there is the Australian Nick Foster. No damage to his car. It would have taken a couple of corners to get the dust off his Pirelli slicks. It's certainly been very dusty offline this weekend. A tiny bit of rain on Friday night, a little smattering at about 11 o'clock last night, but with the heat that evaporated away very quickly indeed. But this brilliant playing surface, wide circuit at Fuji Speedway, very true to the form. It opened in 1966, all the way back then. The track was very different in parts, most certainly the run down to the first corner, because it kept on going and then ran around a bank corner built into the mountainside. There is the gap between Imperatori and Davide Rigon. Now 1.6 seconds, because another fastest lap from Imperatori, and then back to third place, another 2.6 seconds to Marciello. But Marciello, I'm just going to watch him over the next few laps, see how he settles down. Now he's been promoted to third place by that slip up by Nick Foster, and then see what he can do. So we have a Nissan, this Nissan leading the race, a Ferrari in second place, a Mercedes in third, a Ferrari in fourth, and a Lamborghini in fifth place. A third Ferrari in sixth. That's the one started by Kota Sasaki. That's the one from ARN Racing, a car that I think has a good opportunity in this race. Just coming under the main starting gantry, its lights ablaze. There it is in the dark metallic red. He's got company. He's got Florian Strauss behind him, but the fact Florian is still behind him is very good news indeed for the ARN crew, because Florian also has a 5-second extra to serve at his pit stop. Don't forget, the car leading the race will have to be an extra 15 seconds at a standstill, and the car now back in fourth place, an extra 10 seconds. That's Nick Foster's Ferrari. Meanwhile, the 81 car, the BMW M4 from Takayuki Kinoshita, BMW Team Studi, that has a 15-second disadvantage, if you will. That has an extra 15 seconds at its pit stop for its victory in class yesterday, but Kinoshita already 5 and a bit seconds clear of Reinhold Renger. So if he carries on at this sort of pace, he may have already unwound that 15-second deficit when it comes to the time for the pit stops. So comfortable lead in the GT4 class. Comfortable lead at the front of the race. 1.786 seconds the margin has gone out to Alex Imperatori over to Davide Rigon. Don't forget though, the Rigon, the 28 Ferrari, does not have any time penalty to serve at all in its pit stop. So it'll be a standard pit stop for that one. And when Davide Rigon took that car over yesterday, he was in about 16th or 18th position, the number 28 Ferrari from Hub Auto Corsa. He chipped away, he worked his way towards the top 10. At the end, he got up to 8th place overall. Then there was quite a gap up to Sean Thong and Alex Jung's Audi. And here is the drive-through penalty, number 72, serving, taking its medicine, if you will. And the pit lane, fairly long anyhow, but it feels even longer. You have to stay beneath the pit limiter if you sped during your drive-through penalty. I think the team would take you out and shoot you. Gilles Vannelet back onto the track, into last position, as you can see, absolutely... in fact, he's not into last position. Well, I tell him what, that just shows how fast he was in the early stages of the race. I thought he was going to pop in just behind the last car in the GT4 queue, 33rd overall, but he looks to have come out with about 3 cars still behind him. Spotted one was the Clearwater Racing McLaren. Quite distinctive white with its pink and orange flashes. And that was Daniel Lau, who started last on the grid, but he had a couple of cars behind him, so he's picked up a few positions. Our race leader, though, ticking, chipping away, gaining 7/10 of a second on Davide Rigon last time around. A bit further down the order, car 86, that's Aditya Patel, last year challenging for wins here, this year down in 23rd position. No new teammates, still racing with Mitch Gilbert, but Aditya is struggling at the moment. He's got Ken Sito, couple of places behind him. Ben Porter, you just saw the AMAC Motorsport Lamborghini. That's his closest company, the Lamborghini, with the 2 Australian drivers, Andrew McPherson and Ben Foster, pushing very hard indeed. But for Aditya Patel, unaccustomed as he is this season, hasn't been really strong and happy hunting ground for OD Racing. Looks though Nick Foster has found his mojo again, but he's falling away. He's now 2.6, maybe even more, behind Raffaele Marciello. In fact, he's gone behind Marco Mapelli on this lap. Third became fourth has become 5th. Now place changing down at the back of the field. Number 3 Audi has clearly had a delay. That should not be back down among the back markers. Number 3 Frankie Chen Kung Fu, a winner at Suzuka. In fact, he's not eating, but he is in the back markers. Really, the back markers in the GT3 class. We've got 26 cars in the GT3 category and 7 in the GT4, and Frankie Cheng is in 21st overall, fighting with Darrell Young's Porsche. And he's got the Yamano, the 33 car, run by the 2 Yamano brothers. So he's tussling with the Porsche team EBI Porsche, so he's got Porsches all around him. And Max Chen having a little off-track moment, and that's the car that it is presumed didn't spin on its own, but was given a helping hand by Gilles Vannelet out of turn 15. So, our race leader, Alex Imperatori, 3.3 seconds clear, going through turn 13 and 14. Now he's just lapped the car that is second in the GT4 class. That's Reinhold Renger's Group M Racing Mercedes. Yellow Ferrari of Davide Rigon will be the next car to pass the Mercedes. Should do that by the end of the start-finish straight. Raffaele Marciello, there or thereabouts, 2 and a bit seconds further back. Gap between first and second, 3.3. The gap between second and third, 2.1 seconds. Ooh, a better lap from Davide Rigon, just taken 0.3 of a second. But what we're out of the race leader. But what we're seeing at this point is lap times going up and down because they're just having their first run past some of the GT4 runners. And obviously, if you're just being a little bit cautious, you can very easily lose 0.3 of a second. And one Group M Racing Mercedes pulls out of the way for the other. That's Reinhold Renger keeping out of the way of third place Raffaele Marciello. Bit of bodywork damage on the number 19 Lamborghini. Martin Kodric started 9th on the grid, wanted to go forward. He is the championship leader, but obviously a bit of contact in the early laps. I noticed the right-hand side from the driver's point of view. Right-hand side of the car has a little bit of bodywork flapping. It might be the back of the wheel arch, but doesn't look as though any damage is being felt by the driver. Now, if you haven't seen the Honda NSX racing in GT3 this year, it did the opening round from Arrows Racing. There it is, the 98 car in orange, white and black, and there it is going out wide over the curbs. But having a decent enough run today. Certainly feeling its way into the field. And that's Shinji Takai, Japanese racer. He's sharing with Hong Kong's Philippe Ma. So today it is Takai having a good run. 18th place overall. Fighting with Adderley Fong, passing Adderley Fong's Audi. Must be said, Audi don't seem to be quite the manufacturer to have this weekend. Just don't really seem to have the ultimate pace here at Fuji. But again, such a different circuit to Suzuka, and when they go out to play next time out at the Shanghai International Circuit, again, a very, very different playing field for them to compete on. But I must say, Shinji Takai doing a very good job for Arrows Racing in his Honda NSX. Great looking car. Tucked in behind. Number 7 Audi, Tadali Fong. And then Takayuki Kinoshita. Plenty of racing action, but I must say the speed with which the Arrows Racing Honda is dropping the Audis, it's on its form, and they are not at the moment. But now quite a long gap up to the Indigo Racing Mercedes driven by Rolf Bruins. He's 16th place, but Takai has got about 5.5 seconds to gain on him. In GT4 though, under no pressure at all, Takayuki Kinoshita 5.6 seconds clear, making it look very, very capable and promising indeed. Will this be heading towards its third class win in the last 4 rounds? It's certainly looking very, very good, and again, a really well-balanced lineup for the 81 crew. A lot of crews have one quick driver, one slightly less quick driver, but Sunaka Jakochu, who led yesterday's race, will be taking over, and he very much is a match for the driver out at the wheel at the moment, which is Takayuki Kinoshita. But Alex Imperatori, his pace has just dropped. His last lap was 0.8 of a second off his best lap, and was actually slightly beaten by Davide Rigon, but he's sitting on a lead of a whisker under 3 seconds. That's comfortable, but let's just remember he's got those 15 seconds extra at a standstill. Davide Rigon's car doesn't have any extra time to serve. There is Rigon in second place, still 3.4 seconds down, still 2.1 seconds as they were the previous lap. The top 3 cars lapping at very, very similar pace. But in fact, that was a better lap from Imperatori. Within 1/10 of a second of his fastest lap. Now, this little battle's been stewing for quite a few laps. 6th place, Kota Sasaki in the ARN Racing Ferrari. Florian Strauss in the second of the Nissans, number 23. That's the one with the largely blue nose, whereas the sister car has the reversed livery with the white nose and the blue around the headlights. Then in 8th place overall, Patrick Niederhaus. He's been there or thereabouts, not yet close enough to make a challenge. 9th and 10th completing the top 10. We have 117. Car Guy Racing Ferrari in the hands of Naoki Yokomizo, and 911 Shea Davis in the better placed of the 2 Craft Bamboo Racing Porsches. He's in 10th, he's nearly 25 seconds down on the race leader with 12 laps on the board, so you can say it's a very, very positive start from Imperatori, leading away from pole, and hasn't been pulling away at 2 seconds a lap as that gap would suggest, because the grid stretches out when he crosses the start-finish line, but it's probably 1.5 seconds. That is impressive. Certainly running 6th at the moment. If Kota Sasaki can keep himself there, he's some distance. He's down on Nick Foster's Ferrari, 4.5 seconds, but he needs to stay there. There's no time penalty for him in the pits. Nice clean stop, and could yet feature on the podium here on home ground for the team at Fuji Speedway. There comes the group for 6th, up through turn 15 onto the start-finish straight. Nobody seems to be gaining a great advantage there. Mercedes. That's their second place car. That's in 8th overall, and the leading car from the Group M team is the 888 sister car in 3rd place. Nearly 6 seconds down now on the race leader. And actually, I'll tell you what's happened in the last few laps, as we have a potential overtaking manoeuvre for 6th place. Not happening. Florian Strauss jinked out, tucked back in again. Brought the better of it this time around. Jules Vanderlei, the 72 Mercedes. Grey, yellow and green, got the pace to pass Max Chen. He's just got to find a moment to do it. But of course, with that drive-through penalty, it's dropped him right towards the back of the GT4 class. But clearly has the pace to pick his way forward. So there it is, the best part of 4 seconds clear. Alexander Imperatori in his Nissan, ahead of Davide Rigon in the number 28 Ferrari. Raffaele Marciello nearly 6 seconds down, then with a comfortable advantage over 4th place Marco Mappelli's Lamborghini. Nick Foster ruining the mistake that dropped him from 3rd to 4th, and ruining the fact that Mappelli has also been able to pass him. So he started 5th and rose to 3rd on the run to the first corner. He's back where he started in 5th overall. Car Guy Racing, busy team this weekend, running 2 Lamborghinis and a Ferrari, and the Success Racing, the Lamborghinis also run from one of their garages, so lots of banter, lots of fun. But right now they've started to focus on the pit window, which will be opening for those that take it really rather soon indeed, next couple of minutes. Josh Burden, young Australian, fighting very, very hard indeed to pass Kay Cozzolino. Kay Cozzolino in the bright Dayglow yellowy green Lamborghini, one of 2 identical liveries from the Car Guy Racing team, so popular here in Japan. The drift culture as well, really everything that seems to run out of Car Guy Racing is cool. This battle is for 12th place, but it's all that matters to these 2 drivers. They go under the start-finish gantry. Gap between them listed as under a 1/5 of a second. Again, you fight really, really hard to use a slipstream. In behind you can see Alex Young holding off Seiji Yara, the D-Station Racing Porsche. Mistake from Josh Burden there. He clouted the curb on the inside as turn 1 turned to turn 2, but he's got good speed down the hill. He's trying to make Cozzolino guess which way he's going to take his Audi. He's nailed his colours to the flag. He's going to have to try and go around the outside at turn 4, but Cozzolino's too good, definitely too good at Fuji to leave the door open. So he protected it into turn 4 by running deep across the face of the track, across the face of the corner. Now through 5 and 6 they go. Immediately into the sweep into turn 7, but it's a hairpin. You don't really want to be on the outside of the hairpin. Cozzolino will sweep wide, he does, and that just pushes. Whoa, you can see the shoulders coming out and the hips as well. Josh Burden repelled into turn 8 and has now lost a car length or 2 as they go through the kink at turn 9 up to turn 10. But it looks like Burden is making it his project for the next few laps to try and get past. Mistake there from Burden, clouting the curb on the outside of the circuit, kicking out the dust. He's really started to push his tyres very hard indeed. He threw it off the curve, over the curbs at turn 13. That would have worn the rears a fair bit, the amount of oversteer he got as the car went loose and moved around. He's trying to dive up the inside into turn 15. The door has been left open. Don't know what Cozzolino was thinking there. I think he thought he hadn't had enough of advantage. He's kept his foot in around the outside onto the tarmac. I'm not sure he's going to be allowed to keep that position. He was all 4 wheels off the circuit there. And a message on the screen: car 666 and 5 under investigation for contact. I shall tell you precisely who those are. Car number 5 is the Phoenix Racing Asia car, Alex Jung and Sean Thong, and 666 is Reinhold Renger in the GT4 Mercedes. Didn't see the incident myself, but the stewards are looking at it. This little scrap is really nip and tuck between Cozzolino and Burden. No wonder we're sticking with it. And in behind, the number 5 Audi that's under investigation for contact is able to gain very easily indeed as these duo just keep pushing each other wide. But Josh Burden is just not taking no for an answer. You block here and I've got enough momentum. I think this move could be done, but as turn 5 turns to turn 6, he's on the wrong line when they get up the hairpin. No, he had enough speed. He's come across the inside into turn 7, but wide in and hopefully tight out is the attempt being made by Kay Cozzolino, but not enough grunt on the exit. Couldn't get the power down. Burden's very, very positive approach has paid off. Great racing. First of the pit window's been open for a short while now. Already the first visitors in there. And certainly one of them is the black and green Lamborghini. The second car you can see there, Didier Patel's just walked away from the Audi Racing Audi, handed that to Mitch Gilbert, but Martin Kodrich pitted as soon as he could. He started 9th, championship leading car, fell to 11th, just decided, no, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm behind Shea Davis et al. I've got to come in and give Dennis Lind a crack, and hopefully, you know, by dint of not too much, no pit stop penalty, and maybe a lucky break in traffic, they may gain a position or two. They need to if they want to keep their championship bid going. Up front, 3 seconds became 4, 4 became 5.355 seconds. That's the gap between this driver, the Swiss driver, Alexander Imperatori. You can call him Alexander Imperious here at Fuji. He really has been fantastic, brilliant form, and all those years racing Formula 3 here and assorted other categories later in his life when he's really based himself out in the Far East, in China and Japan, really coming home to roost. A couple of years experience in the World Endurance Championship as well for Imperatori. You can see why he's becoming a come-to sort of racing driver. Send out the message, get Imperatori in, and for the KCMG team. He didn't take part for the first few races of the championship for them, but since coming on board, it's been strong. A 6th and a slightly troubled 14th at Suzuka, but a class win in the first round, then a class win yesterday, but overall victory is added to that. So really very strong form for Imperatori. Down in the GT4 class, it's still Takayuki Kinoshita in the 81 BMW M4, making it look very easy indeed. Trying to see what his gap is back to Tony Fong. As the order changes, we've had various cars starting to make their pit stops in the GT4 class. In fact, Fong, no point talking about his gap because he crossed the start-finish line in the pits. And you can be very sure that Alex Imperatori, as the pro in his lineup, is going to stay out as long as he possibly can before handing over to his teammate. And no disrespect at all meant, it was a really good run by Yuki Taniguchi yesterday, but he will be doing the shorter stint, that is for sure. Now, Nico Bastian started in the 999 Mercedes, and that's just come out of the pit lane. Sorry, Patrick Niederhauser did. Nico Bastian's just taken it over. Now, which of the Lamborghinis is that sitting low on the road with a puncture? Is it Dennis Lind or is it the sister car of Marco Mappelli? I think it could be Mappelli coming in for 4th place. Oh no, it's Dennis Lind, he's the championship leader. We just saw him go out, but that must be a puncture on his first lap out of the pit lane. Oh, disaster. The crew that have been so consistent in the championship. 2nd, 6th, 5th, 2nd, 3rd. First win last time out at Suzuka, and then a 5th place yesterday. All looking good. Still, you can see, rear left, flat as can be, coming off the rim. Down to go on the deck. No minimum time for a tyre change pit stop. And coming out of the GT4 class lead is braking very heavily indeed to absolutely make sure there's no speeding in the pit lane. The 81 car will be handed over from the driver who's led the class from class pole. Takayuki Kinoshita will hand over to Sunako Jikuchu. As long as they have a nice standard pit stop, this race could fall into their laps. Well, it hasn't fallen into their laps, it is very well earned indeed. And with many seasons of running BMWs here in Japan in the Super GT Series, normally in the GT300 class, the junior class, plenty of experience of not just the vagaries of the circuit in terms of the twists and the turns, but also the weather conditions and how they can change. In midsummer, though, it's really a case of just changing from 36 degrees to 34, likelihood of rain, whether you can see the top of Mount Fuji or otherwise. But come autumn and spring here, it's when the rain will hit and how hard it will be. Look at this fantastic battle with the Ferrari coming down the straight, but at this point you can see how the 27 Ferrari that got up to 3rd place early in the race has now fallen back behind the ARN Racing Ferrari, and it's got the 23 Nissan tucked in behind as well. That should be Florian Strauss now at the wheel. It's very busy. Sorry, Eduardo Liberati. Florian started the race. All these cars have made their pit stops. Sorry, they have not. Kota Sasaki, I have caught myself out there. Kota Sasaki is a lap ahead. He has not made his pit stop. Oh, kicking up the dust on the inside of the circuit there. Kota coming towards the end of his stint, but he's likely to do, obviously he's done more than the lion's share of this race. He's gone past the halfway point, but he is the quicker driver in the pairing. His teammate, his Japanese teammate Hiroaki Nagai, waiting to take over, but Kota Sasaki has been a real hit this weekend. What the teams want is not just a quick driver, but a driver with experience in the circuit, and back in 2005 Kota won the Super GT GT300 title, so he was very competitive driver. That's a long time ago. He won the Aston Martin Asia Championship here back in 2008. So very good pedigree, years on the clock, but those years of experience very useful indeed. But for the number 27 Ferrari, John O'Lester now on board. He's got Eduardo Liberati tucked in behind in the number 23 Nissan. They have made their pit stops. In fact, they'll be getting a bit frustrated. But it looks like the ARN Ferrari, now with Sasaki surely diving into the pit lane. Jono Lester almost got sucked into following him in. What was he doing? Trying to get the ultimate toe. He's almost got confused there, but why would he try and go into the pit entry? But come what may, that hasn't worked. Great punch for Liberati out of the final corner, side by side down the start finish straight, and just enough speed for Jono Lester. That was a really, really strange one. I think he was trying to milk every little second he possibly could out of the slipstream, and the toe he could get out of the number 8 ARN Ferrari, but that was diving into the pit lane, and Jono Lester, the Kiwi, realised very late on and ducked back out. Certainly that would be quite hard to explain to the pits why you've arrived for a second time when they've done your pit stop. So Alex Imperatori, 6.5 seconds now clear of the car in second place, the Ferrari of Davide Rigon. Another 1.1 seconds back to Raffaele Marciello in third overall in his 888 Mercedes. So it's been a better last few laps for Marciello, but I think that was traffic assisted, because looking at the last lap, their pace very similar, if in anything favouring Davide Rigon, but not favouring anyone as much as Alex Imperatori. Push, 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 he will. But not much longer. I think this might be the last lap before he makes his pit stop. He's not going in this time around. He's got time for more. Down the start finish straight he goes. Past pit entry. Slightly slower lap for him there. And he's come out behind a car that will be featuring in the championship, is still the championship leader, but he's not likely to make many points today, because Dennis Lin, after one lap out of the pits, and on that lap he picked up a puncture, left rear puncture. He's down in 26th and last position in the GT3 class. Still a few cars that have to make their pit stops, but I still think he will be down at the tail of the field. Absolute disaster for the championship leader. Bit of a twitch and a slide there from Mitch Gilbert in the red and blue Audi Racing Audi. Tucked in behind is the car that is the perennial winner in the AM class, GT3 category. Still waiting for the pit window to close, still waiting for those last runners to come and make their haul, and the one who has to do it is the driver in the lead car in the race, the number 18 Nissan from KCMG. What a day the team had yesterday. First and third overall, and their Audi, they enter alongside this Nissan, winning the GT3 AM class yet again. So the team out in force beneath the podium here at Fuji Speedway. So has to be this time for Imperatori, sweeping around the final corner. He will go to the top part of the picture. He already started to do that, diving to the pit lane, because the pit window closes in 30 seconds from now. So yes, with about 20 seconds to go. By the time it only closes when you pass that white line. Or more to the point, as it closes you have to pass the white line to enter the pit lane before the clock has ticked to 25 minutes left in this race. So judged very nicely. Davide Rigon will follow him in, and Julie does exactly that. So everyone has come in to make their pit stops, but it looks with a 6-second advantage for the number 18 crew that Yuki Taniguchi is going to have to be on his mettle for the next 25 minutes of this race. But the car in second place is being handed from Davide Rigon to Maurice Chen, and we'll see how they stack up. But I'd say certainly Taniguchi yesterday was very good indeed in the first half of the race in the number 18 Nissan, and did his part, and then that was built on in the second half of the race by Alessandro Imperatori. Imperatori, you can see him there with a Swiss flag on the side of his helmet, doing his bit to buckle his teammate in. It is teamwork. KCMG, because of their years of experience in the World Endurance Championship, know full well about pit stops. They also know about racing, and they've just had a place game for their 23 car. Edoardo Liberati, the Italian racer, goes ahead of Jono Lester. Jono can't respond in the 27 Ferrari, has a little crack through turns 5 and 6, but not in position as they approach turn 7. The left-hander underneath the very elegant circuit cafeteria. Well, full-on restaurant, frankly, and a brilliant shop, it must be said. Pit window now closed, just waiting for the 177 Lamborghini to make its way back onto the circuit. Don't forget, extra 15 seconds at a standstill. That's why the pit stop seems so long for number 18. And Taniguchi stalled it. This could be a second or two lost. Oh, and he had a 6-second advantage. That hands a little bit. The pendulum starts to swing the other way. He was 6 seconds ahead of the yellow Ferrari when he came into the pits. He's come out behind. That little stall plus the 15 seconds at a standstill. In fact, I'm surprised he's not further behind. So the Ferrari might have had quite a slow in-lap there from Davide Rigon, but margin almost could have been not the other way round, but the Nissan could still have come out ahead of the yellow Ferrari had Taniguchi not stalled when he left his pit stop. So effectively the team gained about 10 seconds there, because they were at a standstill for 15 seconds longer with the early race leading number 18 Nissan. Anyhow, back on the track, everybody has made their pit stops. Watch out for the 999 Mercedes, not in that shot. New fastest lap of the race, just been banged in there by Nico Bastian. So he was one of the early pit stoppers, or his teammate was. 99 car was started by Patrick Niederhauser. Nico Bastian, whoa, that is a very impressive lap. So I think we could have a slight swing around on the race order, but certainly on the track it suddenly feels like the first lap of the race all over again. But let's find out from the driver who made it look very easy yesterday, taking victory in again the first part of this race. Let's hear from Claire down in KCMG with Alexander Imperatori.
Okay, sure. Hi there. We have got car number 18, Alex Imperatori. You came in, you left it to the very last minute. You have a time penalty from yesterday, so I'm sure you wanted to really extend that gap.
Yeah, correct. I mean, in the Pro-Am pairing, the Pro always try to go longer normally if it's a straight race, which it was. So we left it as late as possible to box, and so did the Ferrari behind us, I believe. So now we have to see what we can do. We have 15 seconds extra in the box. So now Yuka has to push really hard, but the car is strong, so let's see what we can do.
It's a very abrasive circuit. How is the tyre situation?
Actually, it's not too bad in terms of tire. I think Suzuka was a lot worse than here. Sure, we have some deck, but it's not as bad as other circuits. I was starting on new tires. You know, we kept a fresh set of tires for this race, so that helped me at the beginning to open a little gap in the first 2-3 laps, and then I worked on extending that advantage. Really focused on making no mistakes. Not easy. It's very hot out there, but it worked out well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex. We're waiting for good news.
Good, always good to hear from Alex Imperatori. Well done for grabbing him, Claire. But it's hot out on the track as well as hot in the air, because we've just seen, while we're listening to Alex Imperatori, Nico Bastian bouncing past Taniguchi and Chen in the 18 Nissan and the 28 Ferrari to move into third place overall, looking suddenly very good for the Group M Racing Mercedes. Alexander Matchel is leading the race from the 63 Lamborghini that Hiroshi Hamaguchi took over from Marco Mappelli. They're first and second. Third place, at about 4 seconds back from that little grouping, is Nico Bastian after that very positive move at the end of the last lap. Right at the end, going past them out of turn 14 into turn 15 on this 15-turn circuit. Sebastian was not taking no for an answer. There is the race leader, Alexander Matchel, and he has already taken the victory earlier this year. However, who has the pace? He's quick, but he's not the quickest, so he's going to have to hang on. 6.4 seconds clear of the Hamaguchi Lamborghini from the FFF Racing team. Talking of the FFF Racing team, I'm just looking right down to 23rd position overall, 23rd in class. Dennis Lind, championship leader after that puncture, so cruel. It was on his outlap. He's 4 and a bit seconds down on the AMAC Motorsport Lamborghini. Andrew McPherson at the wheel, but let's see how far he can climb. He's got 20 minutes remaining, has to get into the top 10 to pick up some points. That has to be the target. Well, race leader Alexander Matchel not under pressure at the moment. 5.7 seconds clear of Hamaguchi, but Hamaguchi on the last lap in the 63 Lamborghini took 7/10 of a second out of him. There may have been a bit of traffic involved, but I think that is possibly the difference in their natural speed around the circuit. So these 20 minutes are going to either feel like a very long time for our race leader. In fact, it feel like a very long time for all of them. It's very hot in the cockpit of these GT3 and GT4 races. It depends what sort of pace Hamaguchi can manage, but the new fastest lap of the race was set not so long ago by Nico Bastian. He's dialing in very quickly in the second of the Group M cars, not this one, along with the orangey red flashes on the side, the 999 car. Arrows Racing Honda NSX, Philippe Marr at the wheel, just needs to sort of keep out of the way. There should be blue flags waved at him at turn 7, turns into turn 8. He's not really got out of the way, he just sort of gradually drifted out of the way, but he's not letting the race leader through. So that's advantage Hamaguchi, Bastian et al. All the chasers would have gained a half a second or so there. And out of the final corner, here comes Hamaguchi, the 63 Lamborghini, and here is the fastest of these trio. It's the second of the Mercedes, the car in third place overall. It's Nico Bastian, and he's really starting to push very hard indeed. He started his championship very well, sharing victory in the opening round with Patrick Niederhauser. Then he missed the rounds at Chang International and Suzuka, but 4th place yesterday, right at the end of the race, moving ahead of the Lindt Lamborghini, and looking all set for a podium here. But which step will it be? Gained half a second on the last lap over Hamaguchi's Lamborghini, and they both gained another 1.5 seconds or more on the race leader, Alexander Matchell. So I don't think the 20 minutes, now down to 18 minutes left, I think it's going to be too long for Matchell. I think he's going to be caught. I think he's going to be passed. Keeping a weather eye on the classes, the Pro-Am class is being led by the race leader, which is Alexander Matchell. The GT3 AM class, you need to look down to car number 45. Yes, we've heard it before, the car that really dominates the GT3 AM class, the KCMG Audi. Started the race with Takuya Shirosaka at the wheel. Now Naoto Takeda got things under control in that class. GT4, it's the 81 BMW, started by Takayuki Kinoshita. Now Sunako Jukuchu, and he's over half a minute clear. But a driver who might have a story to tell us, he started the race in 5th, moved up to 3rd. He's Nick Foster, racing the Hub Auto Racing Ferrari, down with Claire in the pits.
Nick Foster, car 27 for Hub Auto. Nick, you started in 5th. Tell us, just bring us through what happened. Looked like a little bit of a tyre situation out there. It is pretty hot as well.
Yeah, it was quite good, to be honest. 5th was not ideal, but we actually ended up 1st by the end of the first lap, so got a really good start, got in a 3rd, so really happy with that. Pace was good on that initial cold tyre, but yeah, the heat and the extra 40 kilos with the silver ballast really hurts. So the other pro guys in the Pro-Am cars, they're just a bit lighter on their tyres and they're able to drive away a little bit. So we held our own, but not ideal. And then the 10-second penalty for finishing second yesterday has hurt us a little bit. So Jono's out there now, he's battling away. He's got stuck behind a couple of bronze drivers now. So I think it'll pan out, not our day, ideally, but look, we gave it a pretty good crack. The car speed's there, and just a couple of things haven't really worked in our favour at the moment.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nick, and good luck.
Thanks.
We just heard how a couple of bronze drivers are ahead of him, and one of them is Hiroaki Nagai in the ARN Racing Ferrari. And the second of the red Ferraris is the one that his teammate Jono Lester is in. They're fighting over 7th place. I think it will swing the way of Jono in the next 2 laps. Certainly he's the quicker driver in that little battle with Nagai. Alexander Matchell picked up his pace a little bit, actually. Just took a lap or 2 to dial himself in. 3.6 seconds clear of Hamaguchi, so it has come down. Hiroshi has closed in, but the driver catching both them, and with really impressive speed, is the driver of the 999 Mercedes, Nico Bastian. So the top 3 cars covered now by 5.2 seconds, visually coming down. 2 Lamborghinis sweeping out of the final corner, the AMAC Motorsport car. Lamborghini on the outside of the circuit, keeping out of the way, but look, the gap was 1.5 seconds between 2nd and 3rd, between Hamaguchi's number 63 Lamborghini, the one on the left of your screen, and Nico Bastian on the right of your screen in the 999, the second of the Mercedes, just tucked behind that red and silver Lamborghini. It's come down to 0.8 of a second. Top 3 cars now covered by just 3.5 seconds. The order is going to change very, very soon indeed, because Nico Bastian really flying in the 999 Mercedes. Yeah, nicely kept out of the way by Andrew McPherson, 23rd overall, 2nd in the GT3 AM class. He's got his own battles, doesn't need to fight with those at the front end, and respects their superior pace, keeps out the way. Now, you don't want to be coming to the pits after the pit window is closed. This is clearly a problem for the Indigo Racing Mercedes, number 97, Ju-Won Seo, Korean racer, coming in. And he's had a transgression. It's a drive-through penalty, or can be described as a 0-second stop-and-go penalty. So a pit stop transgression, one would feel. Comes to a standstill, and off he goes again. Has he stalled it? How many times has this happened? Come on, come on. Fire it up. Yes, he does. A couple of seconds lost, as well as the time served during that drive-through penalty. He should just be able to come out ahead of the clear wall. So racing McLaren, I can see that in the background. Still in the lead of the race, though. The 888 Mercedes comes round to put 27 laps on the board. You see the first 3 cars coming around, not quite together, but certainly much closer. 3.5 seconds between 1st and 3rd last time around. Hamaguchi in the 63 Lamborghini is the meat in the sandwich. The driver trying to make the sandwich more compressed is Nico Bastian. And this time around, 2.6 seconds from first to third. It's coming down. There is the GT4 class leader, number 81, Tsunaka Jukuchu. He is passed very tidily indeed by the race leader, Alexander Matchell. Every GT4 car you can put behind you without any time loss is an advantage. 26 cars in the top GT3 class, 7 in the GT4 class. And as you can see, the Lamborghini in second place. Hamaguchi just didn't want to catch the GT4 BMW at that point, but Jukuchu kept out of the way as well as he possibly could. But it has bought a little bit of time for the driver in the lead of the race, Alexander Matchell. 13 minutes remaining in this race. This pair will catch him, but it's bought himself a lap or two's favour, I would suggest, with just finding the GT4 class leading BMW in the position that he needed to get past it when he could, and those behind were compromised through turn 4. But battle is rejoined all over again because Hamaguchi is pressing on in the 63 Lamborghini. Don't forget he's bronze driver. How's this? Why have one Ferrari when you can have 3? Car number 28, Maurice Chen, 6th place overall. Hiroaki Nagai, 7th place overall. And John O'Lester, the driver, who in outright form should be getting past all of them. Yeah, change of position there. A little bit of a mistake from Maurice Chen. Rather panicked himself, and he's lost 2 positions in the blink of an eye. John O'Lester didn't need a second invitation. Go past his Hub Auto Racing teammate. Now, what can John O'Lester do about Hiroaki Nagai? The battle is for 6th place overall, and it's quite clear the number 27 car is going to come through. And just another point that we heard from Nick Foster, who's John O'Lester's teammate, is because they're a silver pairing rather than a Pro-Am pairing, it means that they have to have an extra 40 kilos of ballast, half of an average sized person, or thereabouts. Depends how many donuts you've been eating, I think. So it's not just the weight in the car, just in terms of acceleration, it's also the effect that extra 40 kilos of ballast have. When they come to be cornering, it takes much more out of the tyres. So, not this time through turns 1 and 2 for John O'Lester. How about on the exit of the corner? No, Hiroaki Nagai shows his local knowledge. Suddenly they got a bit of company from behind. Sandy Stuvik, who went off at the very corner they just negotiated between turns 2 and 3 on the opening lap yesterday. It's a shame for him and for Craft Bamboo Racing. He started 4th, was looking for a top result, was pushed out before it even made a third of the opening lap, but he's about to pick those 2 off, and he will be making the advance in that class to go up into 6th place, I think, very shortly indeed. It's closed up on them very quickly as they've been tussling. No competition at all in the GT4 class at the moment. Superior form for the BMW Team Studi entry, Tsunaka Jukuchu, and there are wide lines and there are super wide lines. That's turn 1, getting it all round. I think that was to Kimura. That's the 777 Lamborghini. So let's take a look at a replay of what went wrong for Takeshi Kimura. I think it's a simple case of outbraking oneself into the opening quarter of the race, diving in very... Oh no, he's trying to pass the 991 Lamborghini, and Aidan Reid was pitched into a spin and a slow recovery from the number 77 Lamborghini. It was ambitious, it didn't work. Frustration there for Craft Bamboo Racing, but both drivers will continue in the race. They were fighting just outside the top 10. The number 18 Nissan, there's the number 23 Nissan. That is running around in 5th place. In 4th place is the sister car. Yuki Taniguchi is doing his all, but he just doesn't have the pace of the 3 cars ahead of him. So it's Mercedes and Matchell. There it is, number 888. Now it's got Hamaguchi in the lead of the race. They caught the race leader, they passed him. Well, one has passed him, the second one about to do the passing as they work their way around the circuit is the sister Mercedes, and certainly he will not be resisted. Nico Bastian around the outside of Alexander Matchell. I felt they'd catch him. I thought the 20 odd minutes he had to defend the lead was going to be too much for the gentleman driver in the mix there. And Nico Bastian has flashed past, and he does have the speed to catch Hamaguchi. So a Lamborghini leading the race, and the team in their heart of hearts would prefer it was the sister car from FFF Racing Team, because that is the car, the 19 Lamborghini, that has the championship leaders on board. But they've had their problems, they've had the puncture. So let's go down to the pits and hear from Craft Bamboo Racing. Claire has got Cher Davis.
Shay Davis' car, 911 Porsche. Now, Shay, yesterday you seemed to have a little bit of incident with Stuvik out on circuit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, yesterday was really unfortunate. It's just the nature of turn one here. It really tightens up on the exit, so Sandy didn't get the best getaway, was on the outside and basically just got escorted off the road and called a short end to our day. So we lacked a lot of race experience from yesterday. We backed ourselves for a strategy today, and look, we've not been terrible, but we haven't had the pace that we hoped for due to a lack of running yesterday and the hot temperatures, but we're chipping away.
Perfect. So where do you guys really expect to finish today? In the best possible position, I suppose.
Look, Sandy's having a good run. I mean, my job was just to keep it into close proximity and with the pro boys, and Sandy's jumped in. He's jumped up 2 spots with the AMs, and no, it's going well. So I think around that 7th mark would be a good day out for us, considering the short day we had yesterday.
We'll be watching out for the rest of the season. Thank you, Shay.
I think it's great when a driver is so completely honest. We're not exactly terrible. But, you know, they're actually not having a bad run. 8th place overall. Nearly 3 seconds down on John O'Lester's number 27 Ferrari from Hub Auto Corsa. But in turns ahead of the 28 car of Maurice Chen. We saw the 911 Porsche catching up, and the Thai racer Sandy Stuvik picked off the yellow Ferrari. So he's up into 8th. Chen is back into 9th. Sean Fong completes the top 10, the number 5 Audi from Phoenix Racing Asia. But up front, it's about the Lamborghini hanging on. Hiroshi Hamaguchi, 0.6 of a second ahead of the better place to those 2 Group M Racing Mercedes. And now, of course, after that passing mover, it's Nico Bastian, the one with the orange flashes on it. Not the Mercedes in the middle, that's the GT4 class one that's picking its way back up the order all over again. Gilles Vanelay had that penalty coming in through the pit lane for supposedly the contact with the number 82 BMW. That's what we gauged, because that was spun round out of the final corner. So there, the 888 car of Alexander Matchell in second place. They've both gone past Hamaguchi on that lap. Both gone past Hamaguchi. Hamaguchi did lap in 1 minute 45.5 seconds. Is there a problem for the number 63 Lamborghini? I did not see that. Yellow flag at turn 1. Who is off at turn 1? It's not Hamaguchi, because he completed the lap. Anyhow, no such problems for the 81 car. The BMW started by Takayuki Kinoshita, but Tsunaka Jukuchu doing a fantastic job, well clearing class. Now, how's that for traffic? You've got the GT3 AM class leader cutting through for KCMG. That's the purple and white number 45 car. And in behind is 999, the new race leader. What happened to Hamaguchi? 1 minute 45.5 second lap for him. 1 minute 7 seconds faster than Nico Bastian in the race leading 999 car. So, answers on a postcard. Was I looking away from the screen when the mishap for Hamaguchi? Just going to look at his pace around this lap. No, looking at his first 2 sector splits, they're absolutely fine. But to lose 7 seconds on 1 lap for traffic, don't think so. I think there was an incident. I think there was a quick spin. There was a warning. There was a yellow flag at turn 1. Now, car numbers 777 and 991 report to stewards after the race. That's the Takeshi Kimura Kei Cozzolino Lamborghini, the bright green one, bright yellowy green. And 991, well, that was in the wars, of course. That was Aidan Reed, Darrell O'Young. I'll look for further messages in the race. But here is our race leader, 999. Nico Bastian making it look very easy indeed. Had that win, as I mentioned, in the first race of the opening round back in April at Sepang, sharing with Patrick Niederhauser, but has missed some races since, and clearly enjoying his return very much indeed. Sound great, the BMWs. Wonderful, rumble and roar. Just look so much bigger than some of their class rivals. That endless bonnet and the wonderful distinctive snout with a 3-pointed star on it. So, eyes on the screens. Already Bastian has put a 4.6 second advantage over Alexander Matchell. Hamaguchi tried to fight his way back, and he gained 3 seconds on Matchell last time around. So, having dropped to third, Matchell back up to second with a problem for Hamaguchi. Hamaguchi is now fighting back, and I think that will reverse its position. Matchell will go down to third. And in fact, in a few laps' time, I'd suggest that Yuki Taniguchi could get up onto the podium, because the number 18 Nissan is advancing, as is the 23 Nissan. They're 4th and 5th overall, about 5 seconds between them. But Liberati is also going very well indeed. Alexander Matchell going past the GT3 AM class leaders. But he's going to lose more time to the race leader on this lap. So looking very good indeed for Nico Bastian. not been the best weekend for the 666 Mercedes. This is a car that dominated GT4 at the start of the season. It's last in this field, 33rd out of 33. But for Reinhold Renger, he started the season with 3 class wins in the first 4 races, 4 class wins after the first 6 rounds. But he's not didn't pick one up yesterday. Finished in penultimate position, 29th out of the 30 finishes, and today is running last. New teammate this weekend, a South Korean driver has come in to join the throng with Mercedes, Doyen Hwang, but it hasn't worked for them this weekend. Yesterday they limped in, had to have an extra pit stop, put them down to the back. Can't tell you yet what their problem has been today. Nico Bastian, though, just able to lap at a comfortable advantage of 1.5 seconds and more over Alexander Matchel and Hiroshi Hamaguchi, both of whom are being caught remarkably quickly by Yuki Taniguchi, the number 18 Nissan, running 4th ahead of the sister car with about a 5-second advantage over the 23 Nissan. But Taniguchi is really starting to close in on Hamaguchi, the Lamborghini number 63 that has been running very well in this race, but I think its position on the podium is not guaranteed. I think 3rd place will be wrested away from it, and very soon indeed. But look how the clock has counted down. Blink of an eye ago, it seemed we had 10 minutes remaining in this race. Not anymore, down to 2 minutes and a bit of small change. Takeshi Kimura trying to pick up the pace in the 777 Lamborghini, gain the place here or there, but he's down in 18th overall. But here is Nico Bastian leading the race. Another very quick lap from him. He will extend his advantage 7.7 seconds over the teammate Alexander Matchel, who's just crossed the start-finish line. Hamaguchi closing in the black and green Lamborghini, and catching both of them are the Nissans of Taniguchi and Liberati. Taniguchi only 1.2 seconds down on the Lamborghini driver. About the same margin back from 2nd to 3rd as it is 3rd to 4th. The white and blue Nissan catching and quickly, but that clock is counting down quickly as well. Can Matchel hang on in 2nd place to make it a 1-2 for the Group M Motorsport team? This will be a fantastic result from them. Seemed slightly out of sorts when they went racing at Suzuka. We heard from Nick Foster that the track at Suzuka was more abrasive on tyres, so tyres don't have to be considered quite as much here on the smoother flow of the lap at the Fuji Speedway. But will they be 2nd and 3rd and 4th in this order of Matchel, Hamaguchi, Taniguchi? There is no doubt in this race, with a minute remaining on the clock, will go to Nico Bastian and Patrick Niederhauser, moving Bastian onto 2 wins, and Niederhauser clear of the pack again. He'll move up to 3. All looks good. So coming around to turn 15 for the penultimate time, because this, when he gets up the start-finish line, it'll be the start of the final lap of this 1-hour race. The second of 2 races here. Round 4 of the 2nd championship of Blancpain GT Series Asia. And it started in a wonderful roll of results for the Group M racing team. But since then, there have been 3 wins in 3 races for 3 other teams and 3 other manufacturers. But it swung back Mercedes' way, and the 999 car advancing from 8th on the grid, but no time penalty in the pit stop. That was an advantage for them. Patrick Niederhauser did the good opening stint. Raffaele Marciello really set the ball rolling for the 888 car. Here it is, Alexander Matchel, his teammate, his AM teammate, hanging on for now, but this is the final lap. The chances are going to flow away very quickly. I sense Matchel has got enough in hand to just keep Hamaguchi behind him in the final few laps of the race. Taniguchi in the Nissan is catching them, but only by very small margins. Halfway around the lap will be reached with 3 more corners to go to the halfway point in the lap, and it looks as though it's been defended very well indeed for Matchel. Is it going to be a Group M Mercedes 1-2? Up to turn 7 they go, trying to take the wider line. Hamaguchi in the Lamborghini wants to be sort of slightly slower in but quicker out for the drag down to turn 10. Yes, you can see the speed advantage going to the black and green Lamborghini, but Matchel has now got the hammer down. Up to turn 10 they go. This is the kink of turn 9 at the top of the picture. Up to turn 10. This is the last chance, surely, for Hamaguchi to make an attack, but he's not close enough to make a move. Turn 10, bypassing the little loop at turn 11 and 12. Outside line into turn 13. I don't think that's worked in the history of Suzuka, but into the final corner for the last time. Nico Bastian rolls. It's looking very, very strong for him. This is his going to be his 2nd win of the season, 3rd win of the season for his teammate. And so delight at Group M Motorsport, and surely they're going to get a 1 and a 2 for the 999 and the 888. Lights flashing for Nico Bastian, alerting his teammate to what he knows already. It's going to be victory. There it is, across the finish line. Doesn't matter how many seconds it is. Which is the next car across the line? Is it going to be silver with a blue flash on the side, or is it going to be the black and green Lamborghini of Hamaguchi waiting? It's super close, and it's just the nose of the Mercedes by 100th of a second. Matchell makes second place, but oh, how close was that? And just a whisker behind, just half a second covering second, third and fourth, as Taniguchi also got right in on the hunt on that final lap. Wow, the exit of turn 15 was an exciting place to be. Fifth place, Edoardo Liberati, so it's been a good weekend for the Nissans. First and third yesterday, fourth and fifth today. And if you want to win in GT4 at the moment, it seems you need to be in the 81 BMW crew. Tanaka Jukuchu leading by 47 seconds over the number 11 Porsche Cayman from TTR Team Saad. So a victory for the 81 BMW for the second day running, or for the third time in the past 4 races. BMW Team Studio using all their Japanese racing experience to very, very good effect indeed. Overall winners, Bastian and Niederhauser, their silver-silver pairing, but it's Pro-Am pairings in second, third and fourth positions. Don't forget the car that finished fourth, Taniguchi and Imperatori, they took victory yesterday. They've had a fantastic weekend here at the Fuji Speedway. So Matchell second on the road, but he takes that Pro-Am title today, the Pro-Am title of, the position by winning the class here at Fuji. Hamaguchi second in Pro-Am, and third was Taniguchi in class. GT3 Am victory, and that went to the number 45 crew from KCMG, yet again with their Audi. And so for Naoto Takeda, who brought the car home in Takayuka Shirosaka, it just is a season that keeps on giving. And a good run, a return to the championship, having done the opening round. Second place in the GT3 Am class to the Honda crew from Arrows Racing. That's very good news indeed. Hopefully they will continue for the rest of the season. But for the 999 crew, really, really clean race. Started from 8th, worked their way to the front. No extra time at a standstill in the pit stop, as they weren't one of the top 3 finishes yesterday. And that really does make a fairly major difference, it must be said. And also after that spin out of turn 15 and the contact with the pit wall, but no, or the barriers on the approach to the pit wall, but no damage seemingly done to the 82 BMW. That came through to take third in the GT4 class. But really today, as yesterday, belonged to the KCMG Nissans, finishing first and third here at Fuji Speedway. Today, the Sunday, the race day, in hugely hot and humid conditions, very much went to the Group M Racing Mercedes. Even better, they managed not to run over the official who jumped out in front. And there's Patrick Niederhauser. He's having a cracking season. That's 3 wins for him and 2 wins for the driver, who should be getting out with a giant smile on his face, to young Nico Bastian. Yeah, putting them right and pushing them up the table a fair degree. Niederhauser closing the gap on Kodrich and Lind, because the championship leaders by the end of the race only stayed in 19th position. Clearly something up with the car. We saw a little bodywork damage in the first stage of the race and the extra visit to the pit, so dropped them down to the back of the class. And in fact, with those points, that does indeed move Patrick Niederhauser into the lead of the championship by a smallish margin, but a margin all the same. Niederhauser at the top of the table. Victory was a good element of that, but it's the points that go with it that really count. But likewise, class victory for Jukuchu and Kinoshita will push them up in the class in GT4. Still Reinhold Renger leads the way, but not a top result for the 666 Mercedes today. But the other cars from the Group M Racing team, 999 and 888, taking the first 2 positions. But let's go down into Parc Fermé, because Nico Bastian and the driver who kicked off the 999 Mercedes charge, Patrick Niederhauser, are down there with Claire.
Congratulations, we've got Nico Bastian and Niederhauser with us. Congratulations once again, guys. That was a strong finish there.
Yeah, thank you very much. The car was just mega. I had a mega speed. I was pushing super hard. I had new tires, which was a big advantage in the first 4 or 5 laps. And then, to be honest, at the end, I ran out of a little bit of the tires, because I pushed them so much at the beginning. But yeah, it was enough to win, so we did everything right, obviously.
It must be amazing. The 999 car Mercedes is back on the top spot again. It's Mercedes all over again.
Yeah, finally it was about time. We had some tough last races, but yeah, it's absolutely mega. I mean, it's really emotional today. I think we had the worst quali of the year yesterday morning, and we had 2 really great races yesterday and today. And to be honest, I had a feeling, I knew that we could fight for the win today because there were some pit stop penalties in front of us, and yeah, the first stint I just knew I must not lose too much speed to the first couple of guys. It was impossible to overtake the Nissan, but Nico did an amazing job. My heart's still beating just from watching, so it's really great.
Brilliant. Well done, boys. Congratulations.
Two very, very satisfied performers, and I think very well picked up there from Patrick Niederhauser. The pace on the new tyres that Nico Bastian achieved when he came out of the pits and very quickly pushed down the fastest lap and set it very early on in his stint, but hung on to the end. Wasn't under too much pressure because the battling was behind, and didn't Alexander Matchell battle very well indeed. It was unlikely he was going to keep the 999 sister car behind him. He didn't do that, but he really did very well. Huge attack from Hamaguchi and Taniguchi behind him, but by 1/100th of a second he held on to second place. Down with Claire.
In P2 we got Marcello as well as Matchell. Wow, that was really to the checkered flag there.
Yeah, hopefully I did something for our spectators, especially my wife and my children at home. Yeah, it was quite close, I must say. I was pushing hard, but he was I was a little bit faster, but I was able to keep him, so I'm happy. But exhausted now. It's really hot in this car.
What a brilliant pass on during to the race. Tell us what was going on through your head as you came in for P2.
Yeah, I tried to be closer as possible at the car in front, because I know we were a bit quicker compared to them. We did a good pit stop, and yeah, it's a bit pity to be in P2 and not P1 overall, but it's okay.
Fantastic. Well, it's a P1, P2 for the Mercedes. Thank you, guys.
Very well done, Claire. Quick to get to the grid with her wonderful arrival in the BMW M6 GT3, and very quick working the Parc Fermé area. You can see the drivers already being escorted away to go to the podium, and I think you can safely say that Group M Racing, their drivers know how to find the top few steps. But let's have a look back at the highlights. It was hot, it was humid, but fortunately a little bit of wind puffing on the 33 racing crews as they formed up for the biggest grid here at Fuji Speedway, and this the second year of Blancpain GT Series Asia. Brilliant start from pole position by Alexander Imperatori. A challenge from Nick Foster in the red Ferrari on the left of the screen. Looked like side-by-side contact with the Mercedes behind, the 888 car, but all clean down to the first corner. That's good news. So many cars funneling into such a tight turn. You can see the number 63 Lamborghini getting pushed a little wide at turn 3, lost momentum. The ARN Racing Ferrari moving past into 5th place in the hands of Kota Sasaki in the early stages of the race, and it was tight out on the circuit between the Team I race to win, Mercedes, and the 82 BMW, and I think push came to shove, and most certainly did. That was where the 82 car got its extra momentum, or sideways momentum, had a spin out of the final corner. No damage done to the car, and it fought its way back, can you believe it, to 3rd place in the GT4 class. But the battling was at the front end of the field, and Nick Foster was being pushed very, very hard indeed in the early stages of the race by Raffaele Marcello. And Raffaele didn't have to make the passing manoeuvre because Nick just ran too deep into turn 13 and 14 and drifted off at the side of the circuit. Again, the fighting was very robust further back. Kay Cozzolino and Josh Burden, I think they were enjoying themselves. We were certainly enjoying watching it. Didn't matter if it was turn 15 or turn 1. The battle continued. It was nip and tuck, and the positions changed all over. A very, very good run, waited as late as possible. Class leader, race leader, number 18, Alexander Imperatori, in to hand over to his teammate Taniguchi. Then it got very busy in the pits. Number 19 car, the championship leader, made his pit stop. Kodrich to Lind, and Lind was back in a lap later with a puncture. And no points today in the second race at Fuji. Will that have an eventual outcome on the championship destination at the end of the season? But as you can see, out on the circuit, the racing was absolutely brilliant. This long start-finish straight, just providing so many opportunities for passing manoeuvres, and also turn 1 is so tight, there is inevitably contact, and there we saw Takeshi Kimura going around after contact. I think that was with Aidan Reed in the latter half of the race, but the chase was on. And it was very unlikely that Hamaguchi would stay in the lead of the race, so he didn't, under great pressure from Matchell, but most notably from Nico Bastian. Bastian moved through into the lead of the race, having pushed really hard on new rubber. All eyes on the screens. Who was going to get through to the finish first? The GT3 AM class, the Audi winning that yet again. But the overall victory went to Nico Bastian and Patrick Niederhauser, 10 seconds clear of their teammate Alexander Matchell. And look how close it was in that battle for second place. 1/100th of a second was Matchell's margin over Hiroshi Hamaguchi's Lamborghini, with Taniguchi coming home in 4th after yesterday's victory. Fantastic racing at Fuji Speedway. That's all from me, Bruce Jones. Join us again in Shanghai. So now let's look forward to the podium. Already the track being swept on the starting grid for the next race, but for us, for the Blancpain GT Series Asia, it's just podium time for the second day running. The new faces on the top after yesterday's KCMG Nissan 1-3, but it's the case of the return of the Group M racing team.
And Marco Mappelli. In second position, 888, Alexander Machol and Rafael Marcello. And in first position, 999, Nico Bastian and Patrick Niederhauser.
So very happy faces as Claire calls them up onto the podium, and the first trophies, the first three trophies, will be presented by the manager of Pirelli Motorsport, Ken Gokita. So plenty of respect from those top crews, and what an exciting finish. You could see Hiroshi Hamaguchi's face, so close to stealing second place right at the end. Still have to find out how he suddenly fell back behind those two Mercedes. He did a lap that was 7 seconds slower than they were, fell from first to third, forced his way right onto Maxwell's tail, was never going to be able to catch Nico Bastian. It was a question of just when he was going to take the lead. Took the lead and kept it there. Patrick Nieder has a big smile on the left hand of the top step of the podium, and Nico Bastian, presumably that little bit hotter. He's had very little time to relax after getting out of the cars. But not just trophies. Also the checks being presented by Series Director of SRO, that's Benjamin Franasovici. So $10,000 for the winning duo. I think the team will nick that off them when they're not looking. So, start of the championship, it was all about the Group M racing Mercedes, and now we've had a 1-2 from them this afternoon. Don't forget they weren't on the podium yesterday. Shows how the pendulum swings, particularly with the success penalties that slows the winning cars in the previous days by making them stand for longer during their pit stops. But that said, the car that very nearly was only half a second down on second place was Taniguchi and Imperatori's car that won yesterday and had those 15 seconds extra to pit stop. So they really have come of age this weekend at Fuji Speedway. But for the race winners today, Nico Bastian and Patrick Niederhauser, they won the first race of the opening round at Sepang back in April and really came good today. Each circuit in the championship, all 6 that are visited, are very, very different indeed, which helps to stir the pot, to change the mixture in Blancpain GT Series Asia. And for Mercedes, they now have the smile back on their faces. So that was the overall top 3 finishers. Now we're going to go to the Pro-Am podium, and you'll see 2 crews you've just seen already, because the Pro-Am finishers were 2nd, 3rd and 4th, the top 3 finishers in class. So just waiting for Claire Jedrick to call them out onto the top 3 steps on the podium.
Pro-Am ceremony, we welcome with applause in 3rd position, car number 18, Yuki Taniguchi and Alexandra Imperatori. In 2nd position, car number 63, Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Marco Mappelli. And in 1st position, 888, Alexander Machol and Rafael Marcello.
So the 2 faces you hadn't seen on the first podium, the overall top 3 were the drivers who won yesterday, won outright, won the Pro-Am class for good measure yesterday. Alexandra Imperatori on the left of the right-hand step, if you see what I mean. The drivers being presented with their trophies. And that's Alexander Imperatori and Yuki Taniguchi. I think a real pat on the back for the Japanese racer there. He's really found fantastic form through this championship. These trophies being presented by the CEO of Dixel, one of the series sponsors, Masahiko Ida. And also a touch we always have here is the winning pro driver, which will be Alexander Machel, will be presented by Benjamin Franasovici with a Blancpain clock. It's not his first one this year, but I think he'll have many friends and family going, oh, you had the first one, can I have the second? So it just goes to show the very essence of the Blancpain GT Series is that Pro-Am pairings are hugely important for a lot of these AM drivers. The instruction and recommendations they get off their pro teammate is what is really bringing them forward. You'd have to say, most notably, what Marcello is offering to Alexander Machel, and certainly what Alexander Imperatori is offering to Yuki Taniguchi, is working very well indeed. Their pace is picking up all of the time, and that is one of the thrills of a 2-driver lineup in these cars. and the Pro-Am finishers coming second, third and fourth overall. It really is outstanding how they're finding their form. And also outstanding to come and play on circuits as good as the Fuji Speedway. Brilliant combination of corners. It'd be nicer if it's slightly less hot, but it's been a record-breaking Japanese summer, and certainly the drivers have all earned their corn today.
Third position, car 51, Andrew McPherson, William Ben Porter. In second position, car 98, Philip Martin.
So here we have the GT3 AM podium. We've very nearly reached the end of our time here at Fuji Speedway. These are the AM finishers, Ben Porter and Andrew McPherson on the right step of the podium. Second place in the AM runners were the 45 crew onto the top step. Takeda yet again up there for KCMG with their Audi, sharing with Takuya Shirasaka. A really strong run from them. But that's it from us now here at Fuji Speedway. Don't go away. Come and join us at Shanghai.
For a photo.
So just to run through, just to complete the podium ceremonies, this is the GT3 AM podium. On the left step in second place in the class was the number 98 crew, so it really was a welcome return for the Arrows Racing crew. Philippe Marr and Shinji Takai, there they are, the black and orange and white and blue overalls on the left of the podium, but the drivers on the top set, they win almost every single round for KCMG with their Audi. They're absolutely having a fantastic season. It's the 45 crew, Naoto Takeda and Takuya Shirasaka. But there we have three manufacturers in the top three positions in the GT3 AM class, which just shows the mixture is very right indeed. Audi coming ahead, home of Honda, with Lamborghini in third place. And despite the fact half the drivers have just blinded each other with the spray of champagne into the eyes, it's been a fantastic weekend for all of them here at the Fuji Speedway, and very much one of the attractions of the championship is coming to circuits of this caliber. Plenty of support around here. The Japanese fans passionate about cars with roofs when they go racing, and the paddock's been absolutely a throng of activity. Last podium of the weekend will be for the GT4 class, and as is now becoming the custom, now they've hit their straps, found their form. Let's hear the drivers being welcomed up onto the podium by Claire.
In second position, car number 11, Brian Lee and Tony Fong Wai-Shing. And in first position, car 81, Sanako Chukujao and Takayuki Kinoshita.
Huge applause, enormous support for BMW teams today. They've raced in many championships in Japan, but this is really their dipping the toe into international multi-country racing, and first and third positions for them, but most notably first position again for Sunako Jukuchu and Takayuki Kinoshita. They will find their way onto the top step of the podium. And good to see a Porsche combination coming home in second place in the class. That was the number 11 crew that really have kept the Porsche Cayman in the mix. And for Tony Fong and Brian Lee, and for TTR Team Sard, they can be very proud indeed of their race activities.
The series director, SRO, to award the checks.
So the trophies having been presented by Ken Gukita from Pirelli Motorsport, manager of Pirelli Motorsport, and Benjamin Franasovici handing out the checks, the last lot of checks here at the Fuji Speedway. Plenty of pride on display up there, and what I love is when drivers are just out there to communicate, and obviously BMW Team Studio think they should have all of the checks. Great to see so much humour and so many fans in the paddock and VIP guests. They're really having a fantastic couple of weekends, first at Suzuka and now here at Fuji. Can they keep it going when the Blancpain GT Series Asia goes to the final two rounds of its second campaign, the 2018 campaign? We head to China, to Shanghai, and then to round out the season at the new Ningbo circuit. But certainly Fuji's been great, Suzuka has been great for the BMW team, and really they've raised the bar. It's up to the other mates to see what they can do to close the gap. But for the 81 crew, Takayuki Kinoshita and Sanako Jukuchu, just so much pleasure and delight car was quick in parts in the opening few rounds, showed really good flashes of speed at Thailand in round 2 at Chang International Circuit, but since then they've got better and better and better, and the level of presentation and preparation of these cars really even put some of the GT3 crews to shame, because it is so good. You go in the paddock, everything is in their beautiful livery, and it's great. What we will see is other teams will start to follow their example. And I think that brings a conclusion to our coverage of round 4 of 6 for the 2018 Blancpain GT Series Asia. It's goodbye from us, it's goodbye from me, Bruce Jones, and join us next time out for Shanghai International Circuit for round number 5.